with Orso, Wartime Journals of an Anarchist. And again, Orso and I were both in Rojava in northeast Syria to fight against ISIS and to defend the Rojava Revolution. And Orso was martyred shortly after I left in the same place that we both fought against ISIS. Chapter 1, Before Leaving. August 31st, 2017. For me, the problem isn't whether it is possible to get out of this prison, but how comfortable is it to be in this prison? None of us with bourgeois psychologically really want to get out of it. For me, this is the central ideological node. In this sense, using the term prison coincides with this ideological mystification. The walls you see around you aren't our prison, but that of others. The walls you see are the fortifications protecting our well-being. There is writing covering the walls. Down with the walls, destroy the walls, but few are really going to tear them apart. The Journey and the Training, Chapter 2. September 24th, 2017. I'll be without internet for a while. So all those I couldn't greet, I greet them here and now. I wish you all the best. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. December 10th, 2017. The most beautiful revolution in the world. You have no idea what a relief it is to find a place where words like freedom, equality, democracy, respect, feminism, camaraderie, etc. still mean something, haven't been distorted or worse, as in our country, emptied of all meaning. The most beautiful thing that I've found here at this point, hope, and I'm holding on to it. December 12th, 2017. Just to be clear, I'm not a madman, a reckless person, someone who's here by chance, someone in search of fame, or a military maniac. I don't like wars, and I've never confused video games and Hollywood movies with real life. A practice very common among some internationalists, alas. After all, they were born and raised in the society we have, and in a certain sense they are victims as well. I knew very well the risks I was going to face, and I'm still aware of them. If I don't care, it's because I firmly believe that there can be no freedom without shouldering one's own risks. The boogeyman of security, used to cage people in constant threat, has never had any effect on me. The Kurdish Revolution is the closest thing to my ideals I've ever found, and it's a pleasure and an honor to take part in it. I agree with that. December 20th, 2017. While the semi-stray half-wolves who live with us fight for a piece of dry bread and chew the carcasses they find, I like to remember that my bourgeois dogs focus on doing what he does best, mooching Giovanna's pastries, that ruffian. January 15th, 2018. The Israeli military court judge asks a teenager, "How did you slap one of our soldiers?" She answers, "Uncuff me, and I'll show you." Forget Oprah. January 15th, 2018. Anyway, I have a new dog and I'm fine. Well, I have, so to speak, since here they are all semi-stray dogs, and when you move, you can't take them with you. Let's say we are friends. I'd like to say that the sun of the future is shining, but it's raining and it's cold. Maybe tomorrow, who knows? And here's a picture of one of the Rojava dogs. The Battle of Afrin, Chapter 3, January 27th, 2018. Anxieties, insecurities, daily hardships. We know well they're caused by the actual society, and the spectacle is its spokesperson. Weak, divided, easily manipulated, forced to conform to the role designated for us. We're unable to find relief, superficial and ephemeral, if it isn't from consumption. Being able to see families that are so united, that have little or nothing, if not mutual affection, who have fought, suffered. In each family, there is one who gave her or his life during the struggle or died under some bombardment. And despite everything, find the strength to keep on living with a smile. I think it gave me a great life lesson. Love, pain, I've always thought they were two sides of the same coin, two indivisible feelings, but maybe I was wrong. We have to fight for what we love, even when the circumstances seem the most grim, and we don't have to succumb to pain. A simple life by a human standards, of simple things and authentic emotions, is possible, but it means giving up everything they made us to believe was indispensable. February 14th, 2018. Guys, I'm fine. I'm sorry if you don't hear from me, but gorillas in the woods and smartphones don't get along really well. Thank you for all the good wishes. February 19th, 2018. It wasn't my intention to write about Afrin. Making propaganda or providing information wasn't one of my goals. The reason that drove me to northern Syria are many and totally diverse. I won't list them here, but it's enough to say that I've always preferred facts to 1,000 words. However, I've encountered situations I believe to be noteworthy, and I hope it will be helpful in giving an idea of the extent of the struggle. I've been waiting for days in the middle of Afrin. Some of the locals host us, and our teams take turns constantly. When it comes my turn, I don't really know what to expect. It's no longer the door-to-door struggle of Kobani, and the air support is no longer on our side as it is in Raqqa. It's a different fight, against a stronger enemy. At that time, the front was open in 8 to 9 places. We're going north, not sure where. Rows of olive trees accompany us all the way. After a stop to change vehicles, we arrive at our destination. The village lies at the foot of a big hill. It's night, but the signs of war are evident on the walls of the abandoned homes. Hardly any of the local inhabitants are left. Only a handful of elderly farmers haven't escaped, and now they carry ammunition and supplies to help the resistance. They hide us in one of the houses, and we all spend the night together. Turkish mortar shells pound on the houses ceaselessly, some close enough to make us jump. I ask my commander if I shouldn't turn off the wood stove, but he replies that the shots are coming from the other side of the hill and are mostly fired at random. If we're very unlucky, he says, they hit the house and we die. I sleep and decide not to think about it. The next morning we reach another house. We know who's directing the operations and several of our comrades. My team is split into two, half on the hill and half on the other. Now, the hills of Afrin stray a bit from our concept of a hill. They're more like small mountains. And by the time we get to the top with our weapons, ammo, and everything else, I'm exhausted. There isn't even time to catch my breath when the new commander walks up to me. He's a slim young man with an aquiline nose and typical Kurdish features. Do you know how to use the bishki? I've used it a couple times. That's a machine gun, by the way. There's a footnote. Common slang for a PKM light machine gun. A variant was labeled BKC, so over time, the phonetic pronunciation of this acronym has become the most common word for the weapon in Rojava. I've used it a couple times. I think that's enough, so I tell him yes. He smiles, nods his head. Let's go. After a few minutes of climbing, we reach the rocks at the top of the hill. On the other side, further down, there is a village occupied by the enemies. The FSA, Free Syrian Army, basically Salafist and al-Nusra Islamists, which is similar to ISIS, who recycle themselves, have changed their names several times. Several Daesh fighters who didn't cross from the border have joined them. These are cutthroats and the Turks' allies. We stop just before taking position. The squad leader looks at me and says, "We aren't a regular army. We're guerrillas. We must strike fast and then we retreat. Wait until you hear the first rocket, shoot, 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 and at the second rocket, we retreat." I tell him that I don't know exactly where the enemies are. It's not important. You just blast away here and there. We need it to weaken their morale. I do as he tells me. The return fire doesn't take long to arrive, so after the second rocket, we take cover behind a large rock. We stand by, and after several mortar rounds, we run away. We spend the night in the bramble bushes. The threat of drones is constantly present, and we have to be careful, very careful. We remain motionless, even when mortars are falling right next to us. There are so many of them, day and night, and unlike the ones in the village, these are aimed right at us. Sharp splinters of metal pierce the air, hissing insidiously before sticking into the ground. We sleep little and badly. The night's dangerous in these parts. Every now and then the enemy makes some sorties and tries to surround us, coming very close. So close that we all almost become shaheed, martyrs, the commander tells me, laughing. We remain among the rocks, back from the usual position. A comrade arrives dragging a goat by the horns. Another one is preparing some chai, the usual black tea. There's a footnote here. Not exactly chai, as those in the West are accustomed to. Chai simply means tea, and refers to a strong black tea that is as ubiquitous as coffee in America and consumed with water. We eat barbecued goat and drink chai, and we laugh while the sun goes down on the ridges of the Afrin Hills. We carry out many other actions like the first one, some at night, some during the day, and from multiple points. We fight well. The enemy's morale is low, I'm told. On one particular day, we hit them very hard. We had done a reconnaissance a few hours before, and we knew which houses to hit. We had a YPJ, which is the Kurdish pronunciation of YPJ, comrade sent to us, armed with 2 heavy missile launchers, to deal with a tank at the side of the village. She hit it. It's a big party. I managed to get my Kurdish comrade on the phone, who was attacking simultaneously from the other hill with his group. We hit the enemy many, many times, he says, all happy with his broken English. We were supposed to leave the next day, but wanting to see how it goes, we decided for one last night attack at night, with all of the various groups pushing from the different hills. We finish this and it's done, the commander tells me. But in the evening, something goes wrong. Fresh forces have arrived in the village, probably Turkish soldiers, so it's decided to move the time of attack forward to prevent giving them an opportunity to get ready. My team is in the same spot as during my first fight, but as we try to take the position, the enemy notices us. We aren't ready, and everything starts raining on us. Rockets, mortars, explosions. 2 comrades are a little higher. One is launching missiles at full speed. I follow them. The Bisky jams. I fix it. I say Bixie. It says Bixie. The Bixie jams. I fix it. A few shots, it jams again. I leave it. I advance and begin shooting with the Kalash. I finish 4 magazines aiming for the flashes of guns firing at us. When I stop and look around, I realize I'm completely alone. I'll find out later that the squad leader was wounded and the others were back with him. I hear someone calling. It's the 2 comrades higher up. The comrade with the rocket launcher has been hit. The unwounded comrade and I try to get him up, but we're both out of strength. Bullets and explosions continue to dance around us. Wait here. I'm going back for help, my unwounded comrade tells me, so I stay there, holding the wounded man's head, telling him no sleeping, which is what he used to repeat to me the nights we were on watch together. We're completely exposed. It's dark, and I have no way to check where they wounded him. A blast a few feet away impairs my eardrum entirely. 15 minutes pass, 20 minutes maybe, before my comrade draws his last breath. Now, traditionally, in these parts, people are very attached to the bodies of their martyrs. For me, when you're dead, and not seeing anyone coming, I decided to go back. I see gunfire from higher ground to the side, but since that's one of the points from which they tried to surround us, I'm not sure whether they're friends or enemies. I make a wide circle. I can't see anything. I fall, I trip, I bump, I cut myself, but finally, I reach the end of the rocks. I hear people calling. It's one of my teammates. We're all in pieces, but the commander doesn't want to leave the body on the field. I escort 2 guys to the location, and it takes us a while to find it. With difficulty, we manage to drag it away while we're being shot at. We carry that body for almost a kilometer. The blood makes it slippery, and the ground is bad. We fall often. At the foot of the hill, an old man has brought a donkey, so we load the body onto it. A bullet has pierced his lung, maybe even his heart, and there was nothing we could do. I arrive at the village destroyed. I haven't washed for a day and I'm completely covered in blood. I don't care. I throw myself on a mattress on the floor and collapsed into deep sleep. I have to pause for a minute because I've experienced similar things and it brings back the memories. The next morning, one of the elders takes me to another house. They offer me 100 cigarettes, 1,000 cups of chai, and a hearty breakfast. I accept everything more than willingly. I wash my hands as best I could. but there was little water, and the smell of blood mixes with the aroma of the steaming teacup. They tell me to stay a couple of days to rest, but I don't want to. Apart from a few aches and pains, I'm not injured and can continue. They insist, but I tell them that I just want my weapon and to reach the other group on the hill. This time, they accept, and after a couple of hours and some phone calls, a comrade comes to pick me up. I thank them for the breakfast, and my comrade and I greet each other with great warmth. Only later will I find out that everyone in that room will be killed the next day. The first night on the new hill is the night of the Cobra. The helicopter flies right over us, firing random bursts at all the bushes. We wait for it to pull away, to maneuver and turn around, then we retreat to more bushes. We spend the night there, no blankets, ears stretched up towards the sky. Feeling the heat flowing back onto my legs under my sleeping bag the next day is one of the most beautiful sensations I can remember. We stay put for 2 days, and I don't understand why. The flight of drones and warplanes has become more intense. It's pouring now. I'm soaking wet, and it's while I'm wondering how I'm going to cope with the night, its frost, and these conditions that I'm warned we're moving. A fresher team will take our place, and we'll have a few days to rest. I thank the heavens and quickly gather my things. At the village, I immediately notice that the atmosphere has changed a lot, and there is hardly anyone there anymore, and those few who are left are paying much more attention. Faces are tense, and there is little desire to joke. I see the rubble of the building where I had breakfast. Many shaheed, says a comrade. The planes we heard passing by in those days prior had hit very hard. A good part of the fighters had been moved to the hills, and others to some safer location. I'd have liked to write a different ending, one in which maybe we snatch the village from the enemy without any problems, but reality doesn't always make a good story. At the end of the day, for this story, there's still no ending. On the hills of Afrin, you resist, you win, and you lose, you live, and you die. But if the fight doesn't fade away, it means that hope lives on. March 11th, 2018. There's a picture. It says, Graffiti to Afrin. Graffiti is a neighborhood in Florence, Italy. March 25th, 2018. My friends, you all know my daughter, Anna. This is Anna Campbell. She believed in your vision of an ideal society based on honor of the feminine, inclusion of all ethnicities, and respect for nature. She was willing to defend that ideal with her life, as you also are. Many hundreds of you has also given up your lives defending it from those who are determined to destroy it. Anna's death, though I could not have wished it, has drawn the world's attention to you. But the world doesn't understand why your project, the Enclave in Rojava, attracted her so. Neither does the world understand why the Turkish and Syrian states are so determined to wipe it out. Worse still, the world doesn't know that the high-tech weapons which have killed so many of you and which killed my daughter were designed and manufactured in Britain, and also in the United States. You know all this. I don't have to tell you that the Turkish state hates the Kurds because they think the Kurds threaten their national integrity. But you may not know that the British state once saw our own minority, the Irish, Scots, and Welsh, as threatening in the same way. We the British did to them what the Turks are doing to you now. We realized, perhaps too late, the immorality of our ways. The Turks have not yet learned this. You Kurds are suffering the same discrimination, expulsions, and murders that we inflicted on the Irish, Scots, and Welsh, that the Europeans inflicted on the Native Americans, that the Nazis inflicted on the Jews. The world has moved forward. Surely it has, hasn't it? How can anyone see these atrocities as anything but horrible, outrageous, and unacceptable? Whether or not they are dressed up superficially, plausible arguments, the spurious economic arguments that Britain used to justify arms sales to Turkey, that Turkey uses to justify genocide of the Kurds. How can this be? It breaks my heart. It destroys my hope. Yet there is hope. Millions of us here in Britain, in Iceland, in all the countries of Europe and America, we are aware of your plight. We will not let you go unnoticed. We will bring the injustice and horror of your treatment before our governments. We will not forget you. Just as you will never forget my daughter, who lived, laughed, danced, shared, fought, and died with you. Together we will ensure that she did not die in vain. With love and determination, Anna's father, Dirk Campbell. There's a footnote here with a link. I met Dirk in Rojava when he came to collect his daughter's body, and we had to tell him there is no body because she was destroyed in an airstrike, a Turkish airstrike with American jets and missiles that they bought from Trump. March 25th, 2018. Post-dated publication. The invasion of Afrin City by Turkish forces, Operation Olive Branch, started on the 13th of March. The city was declared seized by the Turkish army on the 18th of the same month. It is almost certain that by this date of this post, the return to the TIKO base has already happened. There's a footnote. TIKO is the armed wing of the Turkish left party TKP-ML, active in the structure of the International Freedom Battalion. It's a communist militia in Rojava. We're traveling again. The winter's cold is fading, and the winter's hills are adorned with flowers. Yellow and violet strips slither among the rows of olive trees, turning the province of Afrin into a fairy tale. The sky is clear and I'm peaceful. No matter what may come, I'm ready. The village where we're staying is about 10 kilometers away from the front line. People are still in their houses. There are more or less a dozen of us. Still, despite the large number of civilians, and even though we were just passing through, the Turks will care very little if their mortar attacks rain down all night. The next day, we help the survivors gather all of their stuff and leave. Some will flee to Afrin City, others to the outlying villages. Many of them are elders. They find themselves leaving houses where they have lived their entire lives, their cattle, their small piece of land. Some cry. We stay there waiting for instruction. Drones are always surveilling us, so we change houses quite often, and we move on every time they switch shifts. In front of us at the bottom of two big heights is Bedina. The front line has advanced 5 kilometers in the night, and the FSA, Free Syrian Army, took a group of houses just above the city. There, fierce fighting takes place. The machine guns and mortars don't stay silent even for a moment. When it's dark, the hill shines, and it's hard to fall asleep in that blaze of lights and explosions. They keep going hour after hour, day after day. I tell my commander that I want to go there. Me too, he answers, smiling. He comes back after a few hours with a long face and says that the area is under another command and there's nothing that can be done about it. He'll have to stay in the village while me and another comrade go for recon. We climb one of the mountains that dominate Bedina. We're in enemy territory and caution is paramount. A dense fog completely surrounds us and I can't tell if this is good or bad. We can't see anything at all. Luckily, there are no signs of soldiers in the area, so we decide to risk it and reach the highest peak. We find a perfect place. The city is 200 meters below us. 2 big rocks cover us, and a cave offers natural shelter from the view of the drones. In Bedina, meanwhile, clashes continue. Their intensity increases all the time, and there isn't a single hour without a firefight. In the morning, a pair of fighter jets carry out about 10 airstrikes. During the day, heavy artillery knocks down some houses. At night, helicopters fire rounds, and on and on. My comrade and I are shocked. How can they endure such firepower? Every time we look at each other and think, come on, no way. They're dead this time. Yet after a couple of minutes, the comrades return fire and it all flares up again. What an incredible resistance. They go on like this for 2 weeks nonstop. We climb and descend the mountain almost every day, sometimes for provisions, other times because we partner with someone who doesn't know the road. Generally, a team consists of 5 or 6 members, but this time we were just 3. I was resting inside the little cave when some shouting interrupted my sleep. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! After 20 days of bombing, the jihadists of the FSA were entering the city. They fire into the air, some bullets coming near. They are mostly inside the city center, but they only need to advance 100 meters towards the houses below in order to cut off our way out. For me and my international comrade, we want to stay, wait for them to break cover and shoot, but the squad leader thinks differently. He's very young and doesn't feel like taking the risk. I tried to discuss it, but it's useless. So reluctantly, we decide to leave while the road is open. If we stayed and shot, we probably would have died, but the remorse of not having done so will torment us for several days. It won't torment the young squad leader. He'll die that evening of a bomb from a drone. Death has a strange sense of irony. Another comrade will also die with him. Their bodies shattered into 1,000 pieces with nothing to be found. You never know with drones. You're under some barren olive branches, with bated breath, trying not to make a single move, just wondering, does it see me or not? You stay there motionless, and with every missile they fire, you say, okay, that's for me. But what else can you do? Back to the village. One of the jihadists at Medina found the cell phone of one of our fallen comrades and called my commander to mock him. He answered that, with the advantage of planes and drones from Turkey, everybody's good, that they should fight like men, if that's what they are. He's right. The jihadists from the FSA don't stand out, neither for courage nor intelligence, and without Turkish support, they wouldn't have the slightest hope against us. Many of ours died in Medina, extraordinary people like Shaheen, our Icelandic comrade, an environmentalist. He was known for having climbed the parliament and swapping the national flag for one from a low-class supermarket, saying that everything here is on sale. He dreamed of fighting the big aluminum industry, an extremely harmful material for the environment. We need more people like him in this world, and those who met him know that he is a great loss. However, dying in combat is still a good way of dying, and I'm somehow happy for him. We're tired, dirty, and the team which takes over is late. In war, there's always a lot of confusion. It's normal, but our commander decides it's appropriate to join the defense of the city. So as soon as the other team arrives, we go back to Afrin City. As we arrive, the first mortar attacks are landing on the rooftops of the houses. Planes fly low to terrify the population with its roars. It works. The city's nearly surrounded. Only 2 kilometers more to close it off. If the YPG retreats, we retreat. Otherwise, we stay. If someone has to go, it's better to do it now. Some of them leave, and I don't blame them. I tell them that I will stay, but with a heavy heart. Now there's little to do, and the possibility of being killed at this point is almost a certainty. It isn't the spirit of the YPG to retreat, so I prepare for the worst. When news comes the next day that we are leaving, I'm sincerely relieved. An agreement must have been reached to leave the road open and evacuate civilians towards the regime lines. I'm happy that the general command hasn't decided to sacrifice more men. With the city emptied of civilians, we know very well how it could go. We wouldn't have shot a single bullet. They would have just obliterated the city. There is no dishonor, only sorrow, disappointment, and rage. To see such a beautiful region handed over to these beasts. And it's the inaction of the world in the face of this that is the real scandal. That a NATO member like Turkey could have armed and supported gangs of jihadists amid total indifference from its fellow members. This should make us ponder. At the next Bataclan, at the next Rambla, at the next metro station that blows up, I won't shed a tear. March 13th, 2018. For those for whom, quote unquote, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, as usual, it doesn't matter whether on paper you declare yourself a democratic state if your actions reveal the exact opposite. There's a footnote here. At the same time as the Great Return March, March 30th, 2018, unarmed Palestinians approached the wall with Israel. The Israeli army fired and 14 people died. More than 1,000 journalists were injured. So I'll stop here at the end of chapter 3, and I'm going to take a break because sometimes it's difficult for me to read stories of combat that are similar to my personal experiences in Rojava. And I'm going to probably eat something and then come back and read the communist newspaper from the Revolutionary Communists of America. Later tonight, we will be having a group practice where we will practice meditation, yoga, and martial arts, which I'll be teaching. And I encourage you, those who are listening to this and who will listen to this, to read ideology, whether you're an anarchist, socialist, communist, a Democrat, a liberal, whatever. Read. Get friends together and talk about these social issues. Talk about Israel. Talk about the genocide in Palestine. Talk about the genocide that's happening in America, the genocides that have happened in America, and what is necessary to be done to stop the genocide happening in the USA right now. ICE must be stopped, and people like you are the only ones who can do it. Join an organization like Freedom Road Socialist Organization, like the Revolutionary Communists of America. There's a QR code right there. Join an organization like the YPG International. Here's one for FRSO. Join the revolution and fight. Organize and fight. Read, train. You have to be willing and able to fight and win. That means martial arts. That means skills with weapons. That means teamwork. And it means great and terrible personal sacrifices. So if you don't like what you see happening in Palestine, if you don't like what ICE is doing in the United States, if you can't stand to live with the injustice going on all around the world, then stand up and fight. I did it. I went and fought against ISIS in Syria with the YPG International, and my comrade Orso did, and he sacrificed everything. And there are at least 54 international comrades who have died in the YPG International fighting against tyranny. And that's the blood of the martyrs, and we have to make it worth something. So I'll end this video now. I'm gonna eat something and I'll be back in a little while. And later tonight, we'll be training meditation, yoga, martial arts, and I'll be distributing revolutionary literature and continuing with chapter 4 next time. Please like, share, and subscribe. And fight for the revolution.